We got John McMullen Jody McDonald, your Maga guys here on Birds 365. Appreciate Marcus Hayes joining us. Our buddy Chris Franklin, who comes on almost every Monday after an Eagles victory Sunday. Yeah, that's right. Eagles victory Sunday. That's what we call it because it's happened 12 out of 13 times this year. Oh, that's right. Mixing a Thursday night or it's not every Sunday, but it's most Sundays we come out and talk about an Eagle win after they have played. So Chris Franklin coming up in about 20 minutes from now, somewhere thereabouts. Do want to get your take on this, Johnny Mac. I'm reading Pro Football Talk over the weekend. I think Florio's website is one of the better ones for just football opinion and information. And he espoused the theory about the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. As per the last collective bargaining agreement they had between the players and the owners, they put in place the fact that you cannot, it is against the rules, sign an extension with a player until he has logged 3 years in the league. Any drafted player comes into the league, you cannot discuss and or come to an agreement on a contract extension until he has logged 3 full years. And that third year is denoted when the team finishes their regular season, which is now 17 games. When they did this collective bargaining agreement, it was only 16. It's now 17. So after the Eagles' final game against the season, regular season that is, against the Giants, they are then permitted and allowed to talk to Jalen Hurts about a contract extension. Now, it has never happened that a player has signed a contract extension when the regular season has ended and the playoffs were yet to come, because you kind of focused on the upcoming games, which are more important. The playoffs, that's what everybody plays for. But we've never had a situation like this with a player who's coming to a contract extension earlier because he's a non-first round draft pick. You got a whole bunch of other guys like Tua and Burrow and Herbert, who were first round draft picks, who had their contract in place. So the contract extension wouldn't be till the year thereafter. The Eagles need to get this done a little bit more quickly than do the other teams who are in the same quarterback 3 years in situation. As per the rules, they can do that. They can talk to Jalen about a contract extension as quickly as 4 weeks from now. Should they? Is that a door they want to open up? You're getting ready for the playoffs. You're concentrating on the playoffs, but there's upside to both parties if they could get a deal done rather quickly. Number one, it takes Jalen worrying about getting hurt, breaking a leg or something along those lines, career-threatening type injury in the postseason. That comes completely off the board because he's got hundreds of millions of dollars guaranteed. It's advantageous for the Eagles because they will not have named an MVP by then, which as of right now, Jalen Hurts has become the favorite. I said last week he should have been the favorite. He is now the official favorite in most of the betting markets ahead of Patrick Mahomes. And oh, by the way, maybe Jalen runs through the playoffs the same way he did in the regular season. The Eagles win a Super Bowl. Cha-ching, the price just keeps going up. Both sides would have a reason to have a conversation and maybe hammer out a deal and get something done. Should the Eagles walk through that door?
I don't think they will. I think the key is getting it done before some of those names you mentioned, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. I think that's the key for the Eagles, to strike early in the grouping, so to speak, because the number's only going up. As everyone signs, it's going up, that's how it works. So I think that's the goal. I don't know offhand. I don't think anybody's done that going into the playoffs, extended somebody.
Never has happened before.
Yeah. And especially knowing Jalen Hurts, he doesn't want that on his plate as they're going through the postseason, getting ready to make a run, hopefully from their perspective toward the Super Bowl. He doesn't. That's rat poison. That's the definition of rat poison. He doesn't want anything to do with that. Now, while I say that, Howie Roseman, Nicole Lynn, who was Jalen's agent, yeah, I'm sure. I'm kind of sure they've already started talking parameters, loose sort of structure and, all right, what do you want here? How about this? Blah, blah, blah. probably not supposed to, probably just a couple backdoor emails, backdoor calls. So, those two might start talking because Howie wants to seize the moment before, as I said, the Burrows of the world, the Herberts of the world. Is two up for an extension? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they all are. All of
yeah.
them came in the same exact year.
Same year. Yeah. So he's involved as well. You want to be first in that grouping because that will get you the most team-friendly deal, and I think that would be more of Howie's goal. But no, I do not. If that's the question, I do not expect an extension after the regular season and before the playoffs or during the playoffs.
No, it's highly unlikely because it's never happened before. My question to you was, should the Eagles be, I have to choose the right word here, pushing for it, attempting to get it done, laying the groundwork?
Well, the Eagles, like I said, they'll lay the ground. They'll try to talk about parameters and try to get. The Eagles always want to be first. They always want to be first. They want to be first because they know it's only going up. As you point out, even if they don't win the Super Bowl, it's only going up. It's not going down. The salary cap's going up. Burrow's contract. If you wait for Burrow's contract, if you wait for Herbert's extension, the number's only getting bigger. So they always want to be the first team in line and get the most cost-effective, friendly deal you can get.
All right, so let me ask it to you from the other direction. If you're Jalen Hurts, right now, he is the leading quarterback in the National Football League in passer rating. Again, an imperfect way to measure quarterbacks, except for the fact that it's the best way to measure quarterbacks. There is no perfect way to measure quarterback play. I think passer rating is as good as it gets, even though it's imperfect. He is the lead candidate in betting markets for the MVP. I don't know how you could put yourself in a better position to get paid than Jalen Hurts has. Oh, wait, there's one more thing. He could do that in the playoffs, too, and then add more dollars to the end of a massive deal that he's going to get. If you're Jalen Hurts and his agent, do you want to have the conversation? Do you want to continue to bet on yourself? Do you want to run the risk of a massive, major injury that could have an effect on your negotiation? If you were consulting Jalen's side, what would you tell them to do?
Yeah, I think it's, I think Nicole will do the work and keep Jalen out of it. Jalen Hurts has been trained very well by Nick Saban. And I give Nick most of the credit, to be honest. But he does not want that. He does not want that during the season. Day after the season, yeah, everything. Bring it on. But as long as they're still playing football, rat poison, rat poison, rat poison. He doesn't want to hear anything about it. He knows he's getting paid. I mean, there is not even a path in the world, even a serious injury, and we all hope that doesn't happen. He's still getting paid. He's a young man. Medical advancements and all that stuff might take a hit, but he's still getting a lot of money where he's going to be secure for the rest of his life. So I think from Jalen Hurts' mentality, he doesn't want anything to do with it while they're still playing football.
It hadn't even dawned on me because it's never happened before. No team has ever done that, negotiated with a player as soon as the season was over, before the playoffs started, and got an extension done. Because it had never happened, I didn't think about it, and I thought Florio's point was a good one, but I'm kind of with you. Even though it's a possibility, I think it's highly unlikely that that's something that would happen from either the Eagles' perspective or Jalen Hurts' perspective. All right, from the perspective of the rest of the National Football League, in addition to the Eagles' dominating win over the Giants yesterday, the Cowboys had to come from behind to beat the Texans late. I was ready to just roast Lovie Smith because you were in the midst of watching the Eagle game at that time. I had the Cowboy game on, going back and forth. The Texans got a Dak turnover deep in their own territory, up by 3. Cowboys made a goal line stand. They decided to go for it on 4th down rather than kick the field goal and go up by 6. And somehow they end up with a designated Jeff Driscoll run. Really? That's the best play you could come up with, was a quarterback run by Jeff Driscoll? Anyway, the Cowboys make the stop. Then they got to go to the length of the field, which they did, and they scored a touchdown anyway. So I can't really say, oh, if you kick the field goal, you're up by 6. Cowboys marched it down the field and stuck it in there anyway. So I give them credit for pulling a victory from the jaws of defeat, but they weren't overly impressive in doing so. And the Vikings did get beat by the Lions. I did a lot about the Lions last night on my national show. They're legit, John.
I'm the one who told you, Jody. I'm going to pat myself on the back. I told you how much talent they had. And now they got Jameson Williams back. I think Jared Goff is one of the more underrated quarterbacks in this league. I think everybody looks at him as some kind of bust. He's not great, but he's a really good quarterback. Yeah, their offensive line is tremendous. They still have some holes defensively. Aiden Hutchinson's a really good player. I mean, Justin Jefferson had, I don't know what he ended up with, but he should have had. They had a bad call on him. They took a touchdown. They said he stepped out of bounds. He didn't step out of bounds. He should have had 260 yards receiving. So they still have some issues defensively. Offensively, they're one of the most explosive teams in the NFL, and they're only getting better as Jameson Williams gets more mixed in to that lineup. When you're that bad for that long, I always joke, you wake up and you go, "Ooh, we got some good players," because we've been picking at the top of the draft. So, and you saw Penny Sewell. I saw that play. Are you kidding me? That was I think it was a 4th down play. I could be wrong because I wasn't watching the game, but it sealed the game for him. They ran a tackle eligible play, but they put Penei Sewell in motion.
Yes.
And the linebacker was like, well, he's not going to catch the ball. Oh, yeah, he was going to catch the ball. And they won the game with that play. So they're inventive. They have a ton of talent offensively. And, yeah, that week 1 win over Detroit that everybody said, oh, that's not a big deal. Yeah, it was a big deal. They're pretty good. I'm not going to overstate it and say they're a great team, but they're a lot better than people think they are.
Oh, by the way, yeah, you and I debated week number 1, and I think I ended up being right for an exactly wrong reason. You said that you wanted to get the Lions out of the way early, or it was a tough game week number 1. And I said, no, give me the Lions, right? I want a W. Start the season. I like the fact that they're open up with the Lions because I want to see the Eagles get off on the right foot. You said you don't want to play the Lions because they don't know how bad they're going to be just yet. They believe they're going to be good because they haven't played anybody. Well, it's a good thing they played the Lions early rather than late because the Lions have become that good. Now, the hell, I knew that was going to happen. I'm not taking too much credit here, but I was right. Get the Lions out of the way before they actually kick it in and become a good team.
I don't know if they're great. I don't want to overstate it. Like I said, they're really talented offensively, though.
Quick question for you. Next week, Eagles, opening round playoff opponent. New York Giants, Detroit Lions. Who are you taking?
Oh, Giants, a million times out of a million. The Giants have so much more talent. The Lions have so much more talent. The Giants are really
Lions or Commanders?
Commander. I'd rather play the Commanders.
Well, then guess what? Lions are pretty good. If you would take the Lions, you'd try to avoid the Lions over 2 teams that, as of right now,
well,
are
I'll
in the
say
playoffs,
it this way.
one of which who beat the Eagles. That tells you how good the Lions are.
Well, I think, the stars had to align for Washington to be. I don't think the Washington beat the Eagles. I think the Eagles beat the Eagles. I really do. It's a cliche, but I really think the Eagles beat the Eagles. Turnovers uncharacteristic, playing tempo didn't work, as we said, chain, time of possession, all that stuff. I don't think Taylor Heineke is. Jared Goff can play. So, again, I know people don't really. I don't want to overstate it, but he's above average, not a superstar. He can hurt you much more than Taylor Heineke. Now, would I rather play Detroit's defense than Washington's defense?
Sure.
Yes. So it's tough. That last playoff team in the NFC, whomever, I don't think is a good team. I don't think it's going to be a good team. So I'd be more concerned about Detroit because of their explosiveness on offense. And they're probably capable of winning a 35-30 game. They're going to give up points, but they're going to score points.
Agreed. And that was a big win for them yesterday. And it does take the Vikings back down a peg. Yes, gives the Eagles a little bit more wiggle room. But it all comes down to next 2 weeks. Eagles win the next 2 weeks. Doesn't matter what anybody else does. They will have locked up the number 1 seed throughout the playoffs. All right. We mentioned him earlier in the show. I wanted to get your take on him. Grant Calcaterra. Couple of nice catches yesterday. And yeah, he's part of the game plan. And we talk about Jalen all the time and his ability and desire to spread the ball around. First drive, he threw it to absolutely everybody, including Calcaterra. Goddard comes back this week. I'm not going to bemoan the fact that Calcaterra is going to become an afterthought. But what have you seen out of him the last couple of weeks? Are the Eagles going to be set at the tight end position with Goddard and Calcaterra going forward? Oh, by the way, I meant that's why I wanted to bring it up. He had a great block on a running play yesterday.
Yeah.
He cracked back the guy.
Yeah.
The guy never saw him. He just flattened him, opened up a huge hole for Miles. One of the questions about Calcaterra has been his ability to block. We know how great a blocker Goddard is in addition to his ability to catch the football. Calcaterra made a huge block yesterday. Man, Eagles have 2 pretty good tight. When they go to 12 formation in the postseason, Johnny,
don't forget Jack Stoll, because Grant's not ahead of Jack Stoll. The Eagles really like Jack Stoll. He's not as explosive as a receiver. But, sometimes you suffer these injuries and you're like, oh, what are we going to do? And it's like a silver lining because guys can show they can play. I think that applies to both Jack and Grant Calcaterra, because Jack Stoll's played a ton snap-wise in the absence. And he's more of a blocker, and so Grant's always going to get more of a look because he's the receiving type tight end. But, yeah, that block you mentioned, that's the most important part, because he's got to be competent, at least blocking, to get more significant playing time. So the more he can improve there, the better. But, yeah, as you go down the stretch, it's still going to be Dallas Goedert and Jack Stoll, and Grant's going to be number 3. But I think they're really excited, long-term about his potential, especially on the receiving end. And then Reed Blankenship, unfortunately, got hurt. Same thing, silver lining. That guy was playing great in C.J. Gardner. Now, part of it is they were playing teams that couldn't take advantage, that weren't good passing teams. I mean, let's be honest. They were, as I said, to me, everybody kind of looked at that stretch. We talked about it at the beginning of the show with Taylor and Aaron Jones and Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley and said, oh, what are we going to do? Not realizing even Green Bay, who has Aaron Rodgers, they're not a great passing team this year because of other issues. The offensive line's banged up and bad. Bakhtiari's in and out, barely plays. He doesn't trust the receivers. And we know those other teams, Indianapolis and Tennessee and the Giants, don't throw the football well. They just don't. They don't throw consistently. And maybe that helped out more than people realized the run. They were so hyper focused on the running game. How are we going to stop this? They got a bit of a break facing teams that couldn't throw the ball.
All right, do me a favor. We're going to break here. Chris Franklin, NJ.com, scheduled to join us next. Punch up your Pro Football Focus ratings from yesterday.
Not up Eagles, yet.
The individual players for each team not up yet?
Not up yet.
Then
as usual, Bird Street, they usually go up about 10:30 in the morning.
Then I'll ask you your opinion. I was going to let you use Pro Football Focus as a guide. How do you think Kayvon Wallace played yesterday? Because I'm watching it on TV. You were there. He made a couple of plays. He also seemed to be out of position on a play or two. He could be a key guy this week. If Reed Blankenship's going to miss the game, C.J. Gardner-Johnson not due back yet. Somebody's got to be out there with Marcus Epps at the safety position. And, oh, by the way, Epps plays all 100% of the plays. I think it was part of it, too. They'd like to get him a playoff, too, and they couldn't do it because they were so short at the safety position. Yeah. How do you think Wallace played filling in yesterday?
I haven't rewatched the game yet. But what you described is typically Kayvon. Like he can make some plays, but he's also out of position a lot. It's one of the reasons why he kind of lost his job behind the scenes to Reed Blankenship. And then you have the garbage time aspect of it. Like, what does it really mean? At that point of the game, there was a lot. There was a lot of garbage.
He was in well before garbage time.
No, I know, but there was still garbage time was 21-0, Jody. There was a lot of garbage time in that sticking game. Kayvon played. That's what I'm trying to look. He hit 46, so it's 72%. Pretty early. Reed only played 18 before he got hurt. But the game was already over. It was literally over. It was 21-0. Like I was joking with, it was over. The game was over.
But do we not give Brandon Graham credit for his sacks in garbage time? We dismiss those two. If we're going to dismiss anything that Kayvon Wallace did after 21-0, do we do the same with everybody else?
No, I'm not going to. Yes, I'm not going to dismiss it. I'm not going to dismiss the performance. I'm saying this is one of the reasons I'm not a stat guy. I say all the time in the NFL, and there are some people that do this, and they throw out, they do their analytics, and they throw out, meaningful time versus non-meaningful time, and they weight it. That's what I think the NFL is about. This game was over at 21-0. So everything after that was kind of like the defense giving up yardage late. That's going to affect their ranking overall. And they don't look quite as good as they were when they were dominating when the game mattered. I'm not picking on Kayvon. I'm saying if he played well, and I don't think he played poorly. If he played well, I'm not going to get that excited by it because of the situation, the team they were playing. They were better than the team. He should play well. They should dominate. They did dominate. That's all good. I'm just not going to put a lot of weight on it is all I'm trying to say.
The reason why garbage time stats can actually be meaningful is, guys are playing hard. Because they're not getting regular time, they're only getting garbage time. So when they get out there,
I said that about
they want to put
last
something
week
on film so that they look good, so that maybe they can get out of garbage time.
I was really impressed by Nakobe last week in garbage time, but just his instincts, not the numbers. Like I didn't care about the numbers. Like everybody was, whatever it was, 6 tackles and 15 snaps. I don't really care about. But the fact that he was diagnosing plays and getting into the backfield, I say, well, that's pretty impressive. That kind of stuff. So, one of the things I've seen Kayvon play enough, he's not Nakobe Dean when it comes to football instinct. So I'm not going to expect that off the bat, number one. It's not a good situation to be down to your third safety. I feel comfortable saying that.
He's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. We are your Mac Birds 365 guys. Quickie timeout. Scheduled to join us is Chris Franklin from NJ.com to look back at yesterday's blowout victory. The Eagles over the Giants, #1 team in the NFL right now, the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, we're talking